Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a video where I do a start to finish edit across Capture One and Photoshop. So I'm actually choosing an image today from a recently published editorial that I photographed. And I'm going to show you guys how I actually color graded the images from this editorial and also how I fully retouched this particular image with dodge and burn as well. So we're going to go through a process of color grading in Capture One and then moving the image over to Photoshop to finish off with dodging and burning and just smoothing a little bit of the skin tone. I have had quite a few requests for start to finish edits, so I hope you guys do enjoy this video. And I've also had a few requests as well for my beauty retouching course. I've had actually a few people email me about this recently, so just to let you guys know, I do currently have a session that is running, but the doors are currently not open to the course. I will be notifying everyone though eventually when it does become available again, and that will hopefully be shortly, so be sure to subscribe to my email list if you're interested in signing up eventually for that. But let's get straight into this video today, and I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. So I currently have the original image now open in Capture One, and what we're going to do first, as I said before, is start the color grade. So I've been really enjoying color grading in Capture One lately, and if you guys haven't used Capture One before and you'd like to sign up for a free trial, I do have a link in the description box below. I have found Capture One over the past year or so to be incredible for color grading and also skin color correction. So I'm going to jump straight into it, and we are going to make some of the color grading adjustments that I made for this particular editorial. So first off, I'm just going to up the clarity in this. I really wanted these images to kind of stand out in terms of their texture still, and I kind of moved it up to around, I think it was about 6 or 7 there under clarity. So we are then going to move straight into the color grade. So in doing that, we're just going to go to the color tab up the top here. And then once we're on that, we're going to start off with the skin tone. So the way that I like to do this is by using the skin tone tab, and we're going to color correct the skin tone first. So making sure that the picker is selected for skin color correction, I am then going to go and make a selection on the skin tone. Just anywhere in the mid-tones is usually a good pick. And then I'm going to start adjusting some of these sliders. So with the hue, I actually push that up a little bit. And you can see the difference that makes if we're sort of like moving it from left to right there. I always prefer kind of like a warmness with the skin tone, especially even if I'm going for a cooler effect overall with the color grade, which I actually did with this particular image. Also with the saturation, I moved that a little bit further down. So I usually do this with a lot of my skin color corrections on images, just to take any oversaturation out of the skin tone, because depending on your camera, depending on colors, that can be really picked up highly on camera. And I do tend to find that skin tones are great with my Canon camera. However, I do find that sometimes it does give me that little bit of oversaturation, which I don't want. And then with the lightness, I'm actually going to move that just up a little bit. So as you can see, if I move this down, you can see it sort of gives it a little bit more depth, or if we move it up, it sort of gives it a little bit more lightness. I'm actually just going to give it a little bit more lightness because the overall image was just slightly underexposed. So I'm just going to lift the skin tone a little bit by moving the lightness up. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do for skin tone color correction in particular. So I'll just show you guys a before, and that is the after. So it's kind of like a minimal difference, but before and after. So you can see it's just kind of warmed it up slightly, but sort of taken that oversaturation effect out of it as well. Now we're going to be moving on to the color balance. So this is where I do the majority of my color grading overall for the image. And I like to use the 3-way sliders and the wheels just down the bottom here under color balance. I find that they're really effective in producing a color grade that I like. And first off, we're going to start with the mid-tone wheel. So I'm actually going to move this just down a little bit because we want to kind of have that color, that coolness in the skin tone. And you can see that's really made a difference from the before to the after already just by changing the mid-tone there. So we're getting that bit more of a cooler effect. And then I'm going to move the shadow wheel a little bit more over to the right, just to warm it up even more on the skin tone. So sort of more over towards this kind of way with the orange. So we're kind of getting that contrast of the cool and warm. And then for the highlight, this is where it's really going to change how the image looks, I feel, overall. We're actually going to push this wheel over to the left to the cyan side. And this will hopefully give us a little bit more of that bluish tinge in the highlights, which I really like. So you can go back and tweak these at any time. I'm actually just going to tweak these slightly just to make sure that we're not getting a really saturated look on the skin tone especially. So just to make sure that we're kind of getting that right effect that we want. So just moving these just to kind of how I feel like where the balance is kind of really where I want it at. So I'll just let you guys have a closer look here just at the color wheels to see where I've positioned them in the end. I've just tweaked it again just to make sure that we're really getting the nice harmony of colors here. It's really hard to get if you really have something in mind, especially for an editorial that's really cool or really warm. It's really hard sometimes to get the skin tone working in with that as well, especially with beauty photographs. I think that's one thing that a lot of people struggle with when color grading beauty photographs, because the skin tone really takes preference in a lot of the shots. So it is about finding that harmony. So this is basically the kind of situation I've got going on with my color grade at the moment. So if you guys did want to replicate something similar, you can have a closer look here and see where I've moved those wheels to. Okay, so this is pretty much our color grade now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click the image and I'm going to go down to edit with Adobe Photoshop. So I'm going to move it into Photoshop and then we're going to start on our dodging and burning. Oh, and just as a note before I do so, I would usually then go to the styles page here and I would usually create a user preset by going up to the three dots here and saying save user style. And then it would be really easy for me to apply this same color grade to the rest of my images from the editorial, which is exactly how I do color grade most of the images in sets. I use styles and presets over here and it's a really easy way of doing it. All right guys, so now I have my image in Photoshop and I'm going to start on the skin retouching. So the way I would usually do this, as most of you guys know, is by creating some dodge and burn layers and a healing layer. If you guys haven't seen my tutorials before on my channel about dodge and burn, there's so many on there, so I'm not going to put you through the pain of watching me create the layers and then get started. I'm just going to fast forward through this bit, but it's really as simple as creating two different curves layers that are inverted, one that's brighter and one that's darker. And we're then going to smooth out some of the texture on the skin tone and remove some of the blemishes too. Okay, so first off with the healing layer, I'm actually going to go and get the spot healing brush tool just over on the left-hand side here. And then we're going to zoom in a little bit to the image and we're actually going to start just moving the healing brush tool over the areas where there's little hairs or any blemishes that we want to get rid of. So with this image, I do want to keep a lot of texture intact, so I'm not going to be too heavy-handed with this particular tool, and I do try not to be for the most part with a lot of my images when I'm retouching. So just removing some of those little bumps and just those little hairs as well with this tool. And then I'm also going to move some of these stray hairs just over here as well while I'm using this tool, just to really clean up those parts of the image. Okay, so once we're finished with our healing layer for now, I'll show you guys a before and after just quickly so you can see how that's kind of cleaned up some parts of the image. I'm then going to move on to my dodge and burn layers. So first off, I like to start off with dodge most of the time, and I usually try and even out some of the darker areas which look a little bit patchy on the skin tone. So I'm going to grab my paintbrush tool over on the left-hand side. I'm going to make my brush size a little bit smaller, making sure the hardness is at 0% and the flow is at 1% over here. I'm going to make sure that white is selected, and then I'm going to start just filling in some of those slightly patchier areas where it's a little bit darker on the skin tone here. And then I will switch over to using burn in just a minute and show you guys what we're going to be doing there. But for now, I'm just going to continue filling in some of these areas and lightening them up just by using the dodge tool. And now I'm going to switch over to the burn layer, and we are going to do the same thing, but just kind of on the darker sides of the image. We're just going to even out some of those areas as well. I'm just using the healing brush tool at the moment just to remove a few more little bumps that I wanted to remove, and then I'm pretty much finished. Okay guys, so I'm going to show you before and after now, and I'm going to take a snapshot and we're going to go back to the original without the dodging and burning. So this is the before, and then this is the after. I'm also going to go back to Capture One and show you guys a full before and after, so before the color grade as well. So this is the before the color grade, and then this is the after the color grade and after the dodging and burning. So this is the finished image. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and if you like this kind of format of tutorials where I do start to finish edits, please let me know in the comments section below. I don't tend to go into too much detail with these types of tutorials because things like dodge and burn I do all the time, and you guys see it from tutorial to tutorial, so I don't want to have to repeat myself over and over with that sort of stuff where you guys might be feeling a bit bored. But I hope you guys did enjoy this particular one, and if you do like this format, please let me know. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure that you do, because I'll be posting lots more tutorials like this one. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye!